Dallas Cowboys fans woke up expecting another intense day of free agency rumors and speculation. But what actually unfolded was something a little different. Instead of a blockbuster headline or a massive splash move, the team quietly made a decision that could still have interesting implications for the quarterback room. The Cowboys have added a new name to the roster, bringing in quarterback Sam Howell as another option behind Dak Prescott. It is the kind of move that may not dominate national headlines, but when you look closer at the situation in Dallas, it begins to raise some important questions about the direction of the depth chart and what the coaching staff truly thinks about the players already in the building. Sam Howell enters the Cowboys organization with a career path that has already taken several unexpected turns. Coming out of the University of North Carolina, Howell arrived in the National Football League during the 2022 draft as a fifth-round selection. At the time, many analysts believed he had the talent to go earlier, but concerns about his transition to the professional level caused him to slide further down the board than expected. Despite that draft position, Howell still managed to get opportunities early in his career, including a start late in his rookie season that gave teams a glimpse of his potential. The following year brought the biggest opportunity of his young career. During the 2023 season, Howell stepped into the starting role for Washington and was given the chance to prove he could lead an offense for an entire campaign. On paper, it looked like a chance for a breakout moment. He started 17 games and was heavily involved in the offense every single week. However, the results told a more complicated story. While he showed flashes of arm talent and toughness, the numbers revealed a quarterback struggling to find consistency in a challenging situation. That season saw Howell attempt more passes than any other quarterback in the league, which is rarely a comfortable place to be when the offense around you is still trying to find stability. With so many attempts came a series of difficult outcomes. He finished the year with 21 touchdown passes, but also threw 21 interceptions, creating a perfectly balanced but frustrating stat line. The pressure from opposing defenses was constant as well, as he absorbed a high number of sacks throughout the season. When a quarterback leads the league in attempts, interceptions, and sacks in the same year, it usually means the offense spent long stretches fighting uphill battles. Of course, context matters in situations like this. The roster around Howell during that season was far from dominant, and the team itself struggled to find momentum. Washington finished the year with only 4 victories, reflecting the overall challenges that surrounded the offense. The passing game never truly settled into rhythm, and the constant pressure placed on Howell forced him into difficult decisions. Still, even with those circumstances, the performance left many decision-makers around the league wondering whether he could truly develop into a long-term starting option. After that season ended, Washington made the decision to move in a different direction, opening the door for Howell to continue his journey elsewhere. He was traded to the Seattle Seahawks in a deal that included multiple draft picks moving between the teams. The exchange of selections made the trade look complicated on the surface, but the overall message was clear. Washington was ready to reset its quarterback plan, while Seattle was willing to take a look at Howell as a developmental option. His time with Seattle did not bring many opportunities on the field. Throughout the following season, Howell remained mostly on the sidelines, appearing rarely as the team relied on other quarterbacks to lead the offense. That lack of playing time made it difficult for him to change the narrative surrounding his career, and once the offseason arrived again, his name surfaced in trade discussions once more. Eventually, another move placed him with Philadelphia, where he entered a crowded quarterback room. There, Howell found himself serving primarily as a depth option, spending most of the year as the third quarterback on the roster. The Eagles relied on their primary starter and main backup during games, which meant Howell did not see meaningful action. For a quarterback still trying to prove his value in the league, that kind of season can feel like standing still while the rest of the league continues to evolve. Now the journey brings him to Dallas, where he joins a quarterback room already centered around Dak Prescott. Prescott remains firmly established as the leader of the offense and the clear starting quarterback. So Howell's arrival is not about challenging that position. Instead, the move appears to be about competition and insurance. Behind Prescott, the Cowboys have been evaluating their options, And bringing Howell into the mix suggests the team wants to create a deeper battle for the backup roles. That is where things become particularly interesting. Dallas already had other quarterbacks in the room competing for those spots, and the addition of Howell introduces another layer to that competition. Training camp and preseason repetitions are limited resources, and every extra quarterback on the roster means fewer opportunities for someone else. When a team decides to add another arm, it often signals that the coaching staff wants to push the existing players harder or simply is not completely convinced by what it has seen so far. Howell does bring certain traits that teams find intriguing in backup quarterbacks. During his starting season in Washington, he showed the ability to extend plays with his legs, rushing for more than 260 yards and adding 5 touchdowns on the ground. That mobility can be valuable when games become chaotic and protection breaks down. He also demonstrated durability, handling a heavy workload throughout that long season despite the relentless pressure from opposing defenses. At the same time, the biggest challenge in Howell's game has always been processing speed under pressure. When the first read is available, he can deliver accurate passes and move the offense forward. But when defenses disguise coverages or collapse the pocket quickly, the decision-making can become more complicated. That tendency has followed him throughout his early professional career, and it is one of the reasons teams have continued to view him more as a developmental option than a guaranteed solution. For the Cowboys, the financial risk involved in this signing is minimal, which makes the move easier to understand. Backup quarterbacks often arrive on modest contracts designed primarily to provide depth and competition rather than long-term commitments. From a front office perspective, bringing in Howell creates another potential option without limiting future flexibility. If he performs well during off-season practices and preseason games, he could earn a role. If not, the team can adjust the roster without significant consequences. Still, every roster decision tells a story about what the coaching staff is thinking behind the scenes, and this one could suggest that Dallas wants to see more urgency from the rest of the quarterback group. When competition increases, players tend to respond with sharper performances, knowing that every practice repetition might influence their place on the final roster. As the offseason continues to unfold, the Cowboys' quarterback room suddenly becomes a storyline worth watching closely. Inside the Cowboys facility, the quarterback depth chart is beginning to look more crowded, and that alone creates a fascinating dynamic heading into training camp. Dak Prescott remains firmly planted at the top of the hierarchy, and nothing about this move changes that reality. He is the leader of the offense, the face of the franchise on that side of the ball, and the player the organization continues to build around. But behind him, the competition for those backup roles suddenly feels much more open than it might have appeared just a short time ago. Joe Milton is one of the names that immediately comes to mind when discussing this new situation. The young quarterback arrived with intriguing physical tools, including one of the strongest arms among developing passers in the league. When Milton lets the ball fly downfield, there is no question about the raw power behind those throws. Coaches have always been intrigued by that potential, and it is one of the reasons he has continued to receive opportunities to develop. However, the transition from potential to reliable performance is never simple in the National Football League, and that is where the conversation becomes more complicated. Milton's development path has included moments where the flashes of talent are obvious. A deep pass delivered perfectly down the sideline or a quick escape from pressure, followed by a strong throw across the field, can quickly remind everyone why his physical traits were so highly discussed when he entered the league. At the same time, the coaching staff evaluates far more than individual highlights. Consistency in reading defenses, timing with receivers, and decision-making under pressure are often the true indicators of whether a quarterback can handle the responsibility of stepping into a game if the starter is unavailable. That is why the arrival of Sam Howell could quietly serve as a measuring stick for everyone involved. Howell has already experienced the pressure of starting an entire season in the National Football League. Even though that season came with its share of struggles, it still provided valuable experience that younger quarterbacks are still trying to gain. When you've taken the field for 17 games and faced every type of defensive scheme imaginable, You carry a different level of familiarity with the speed and complexity of professional football. The Cowboys coaching staff now has the opportunity to evaluate multiple quarterbacks with very different backgrounds. Prescott represents the established veteran who knows the offense inside and out. Howell brings the experience of a former full-time starter who has seen both success and adversity. Milton continues to develop as a player with impressive physical tools who is still refining the details of his game. Alongside them, another familiar face remains in the mix as well, creating a situation where several players are competing for limited spots. Roster decisions at quarterback are rarely simple because teams must balance security with potential. On one hand, coaches want a backup who can step onto the field and manage the offense if necessary. On the other hand, organizations also like to keep developing players who might eventually grow into larger roles. The challenge comes when there are only so many practice repetitions and preseason snaps available. Every throw taken by one quarterback is a throw that another player does not receive. During preseason games, that competition becomes even more visible. Those exhibitions provide the best chance for backup quarterbacks to demonstrate how they perform in real game conditions. The speed of the defense, the pressure of third down situations, and the rhythm of calling plays in the huddle all create an environment that cannot be fully replicated during practice. For Howell, those opportunities could represent the chance to remind the league that he still has something to offer after a quiet stretch in recent seasons. One of the intriguing elements of Howell's skill set is his willingness to extend plays when the pocket collapses. Modern offenses often value quarterbacks who can escape pressure and turn broken plays into positive yardage. While Howell has primarily been known as a passer, his ability to contribute with his legs has appeared at important moments in his career. Scrambling for first downs or slipping away from defenders to buy extra time can help keep an offense alive during difficult drives. However, mobility alone does not secure a role in the quarterback room. The Cowboys coaching staff will likely focus heavily on Howell's decision-making during camp. When the first read is covered, how quickly does he move to the second option? When pressure arrives from the edge, does he maintain composure and deliver an accurate throw? Those small details often determine whether a quarterback can be trusted in a close game where one mistake could change the outcome. For Dallas, the larger picture remains focused on protecting the stability of the offense. Dak Prescott's presence at the top of the depth chart provides confidence, but every team understands how quickly circumstances can change during a long season. Injuries, unexpected setbacks, or simply the physical toll of a demanding schedule can create moments when depth becomes extremely important. That reality is why teams continue searching for capable backup options even when their starting quarterback is firmly established. Competition also tends to bring out the best performances from players who might otherwise feel comfortable in their roles. When quarterbacks know that every practice throw is being evaluated against someone else's performance, the urgency naturally increases. Footwork becomes sharper, communication in the huddle grows louder, and preparation during film sessions often becomes more detailed. In that sense, the presence of Howell could benefit the entire quarterback group, even if he ultimately does not claim a permanent spot. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The atmosphere around the Dallas Cowboys has gone absolutely electric in recent hours, and for one simple reason. Whispers of a potential acquisition that could shake the league are spreading like wildfire. At the center of this speculation is none other than Jalon Phillips, the explosive pass rusher whose name has been circulating in trade talks and front office chatter. Fans and analysts alike are already imagining the implications. One look at social media, and it's clear the Cowboys faithful are ready to erupt. Sources close to the team suggest that the organization is actively exploring opportunities to strengthen their defensive front, and Phillips, known for his game-changing bursts off the edge, fits the bill perfectly. His combination of speed, agility, and raw power makes him a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks, and the thought of him donning the silver and blue has ignited a frenzy among supporters. Sports talk shows and fan forums are buzzing with speculation. Could the Cowboys finally have the missing piece to elevate their defense to elite status? Inside insiders say the conversations aren't just idle chatter. Multiple front office executives have reportedly placed Phillips at the top of their wish list, and while negotiations are in very early stages, the mere possibility has set off an unprecedented wave of excitement. Merchandise sales, hashtags, and highlight reels are already trending as fans dream about the potential impact on both ends of the field. Analysts caution that nothing is finalized, emphasizing that such moves are delicate and often volatile. Yet, for the Cowboys fan base, hope and anticipation are contagious, and every passing hour seems to fuel more discussion and debate. The rumor has ignited a broader conversation about the team's ambitions and strategy. Observers are now scrutinizing every personnel move, every draft pick, and every trade possibility through the lens of landing a game-changer like Phillips. Whether or not this comes to fruition, the sheer energy surrounding the discussion has reminded everyone why the Cowboys are often considered one of the league's most passionate and engaged fan communities. One thing is certain: if Phillips were to join the squad, the NFL landscape might just feel a little different, and the roar of Cowboys fans across the country would be impossible to ignore. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.